Good morning and welcome to today's edition of the Captain's Log. I'm calling this Captain's Log Supplemental because I just made a Captain's Log yesterday. Today is September 30th, 2020. It's 2:30, 2:45, something like that in the morning. I'm at my second stop for the day, but they don't open till 4, so I gotta sit here for an hour and a half. I wasn't gonna do any more captain's logs for a couple of weeks, but after listening to tonight's cat fight, I figured I wanted to say something just because it such a topical issue. I don't want to get into politics on these personal logs just because they're so divisive, and I don't want to alienate anybody. But I'll just say I was really embarrassed today for the country because it seems like we all have our differences, opinions, but for some reason civility has just gone out the window. When I was in school, we had debates. It was very structured, and tonight seemed to lack any structure. And I don't know if that's the weakness of Chris Wallace or the bombacity of Trump or the snarkiness of Biden. So I don't know who to blame. I'll blame them all just because I think they're all equally culpable in tonight's dumpster fire. Now, people who know me personally know who I support, and I'm not going to get into that here because, like I said before, I don't want to alienate anybody. But I'll just say this: when you're trying, of course, I couldn't watch the debates because I was driving, so I was listening. And when you got two kind of hot-headed individuals yelling over each other, you can't understand what either of them saying. So I don't understand why Chris Wallace allowed that to happen. Each one had a separate microphone. I don't understand why they didn't kill the non-responding person's microphone until it was their turn to speak. That's what I would have done. When I was in college, we took a class called Argument and Exposition, and basically that's a $10 resume word for making an argument and supporting it. And we did mock debates as part of this class, and it was very structured. You were given a topic to research, and in my case of my class, we could choose which side of the argument we wanted to be on. But we're talking a presidential debate, and I don't understand why they let it be such a free for all. The way I would have done it, and I think the way everyone should do it, is pretty simple. You start off the debate with a coin flip, and whoever wins the coin flip, just like in football, gets to pick first or gets to answer first. So in this case, let's use an example. Let's say that Trump won the coin toss. So he would have been given, and this is my debate, my rules. He would have been given 5 minutes to make an opening statement, and then I would have turned his microphone off, and then I would have given the same 5 minutes to Biden to make his opening statement. Once those two opening statements are complete, then we get into the rounds and the questions, and there should be no differentiation between who gets asked what question. They should both get asked the exact same question, and neither one of them should know the question ahead of time. No cheating. So that means they have to study everything and be ready to go. I understand, like giving a general broad topic, like they started off with the Supreme Court, and moved on to the economy and COVID and all those kind of goofy things. But I wouldn't ask one question to the president about his taxes and not ask Biden the same question. So let's just, in my example, let's just do it this way. Um, the first question is asked, and the whoever is the person that starts off that topic, and it should go back and forth. So, in this example, let's say President Trump is the first one to respond, and let's say the question is about um, COVID, and Wallace would ask him something about COVID. Trump will be given 2 minutes to make his point, and then Biden would be given 2 minutes to make his point, and then Trump will be given 1 minute to rebut, and then Biden would be given the exact same 1 minute to rebut. So basically, the way it would work: question, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, and then you move on to the next question. No lingering, no free for alls, no shouting matches. It's completely undignified of someone who wants to be the ruler of the free world. And I don't understand how Wallace just completely let it go off the tracks. He should completely stop the debate, and until the two candidates, can compose themselves and conduct themselves in a professional, dignified manner, the debate shouldn't have continued. That should have been the end of it. And I understand that there's a lot of things going on right now in the country and in the world, and each one has very strong opinions, but there needs to be some semblance of civility and professionalism, and the whole thing was just completely lacking any civility. And I was listening to the thing, and I had a hard time following because I couldn't understand what either person was saying, because of the way they were, shouting over each other, and the snide remarks, "You're not smart, Joe," or "Shut up, you clown," or whatever, these back and forths. I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me how these candidates can just be so unprofessional. I'm surprised it didn't come down to blows, to be perfectly honest with you. And I was equally surprised we actually had a debate to begin with, and I'm pretty sure that we're not going to get any more. But if we do, there's still three more debates. One for the two vice presidential nominees, and of course the remaining two for the presidential nominees. But if the next one, I can't remember who's doing the next one, CNN or whoever is doing the next one, lets it degenerate like it was, I don't understand. I don't see the point, because you can't understand what anyone's saying just because of their total lack of dignity. That's not what I want to say. Their total lack of respect. And I'm a big proponent of letting people talk. That's the First Amendment, right? So you have the right to your opinion, and I have the right to mine. And when people just shout over each other and argue, and no one's gaining any ground. And I was listening to some of the post debate commentary on the radio, and I just, if you listen to one source, Biden won the debate. If you listen to a different source, Trump won the debate. I don't think either candidate won or lost. I think it was just a mess. a train wreck. And, of course, each one got in their one-liners and got in their personal attacks. But you can attack someone's character or whatever, but that doesn't explain why you'd be the better candidate. Maybe it's time to go back to a time where people, could exchange ideas, freely uh, and not have this constant, blah, 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 blah. You can't understand a word anyone's saying, and you just get lost in the mess. So, we'll see what happens during the next debate. I think the next one is the presidential, the vice presidential debates. And I don't know much about Pence other than that he's the vice president. He used to be a governor. And then, of course, Harris, she's got her own baggage. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to take sides. I know who I'm supporting. I know who I'm voting for, and that brings me to this other point. They kept saying throughout the debate, vote, 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 and that's absolutely essential to keeping this country. But the problem is, with all these recent developments with these voter fraud issues, what I propose after this election is complete and before the midterms 2022, I think we need a nationwide purge of all the voter rolls across the country, because there's people that are registered to vote that have been dead for decades, and they're getting sent ballots. And to me, that just screams fraud. It's not a popular opinion on the Democratic side. It's a very popular opinion on the Republican side of voter ID, universal voter ID. And the left says voter ID disenfranchises voters. The right says it prevents election fraud. And which one's correct? I'll tell you. If I go down to my polling place to vote and I find out somebody's already voted, that's a problem. in my name, I mean, obviously. So universal voter roll purge, and then that gives 2 years for everyone to re-register to vote. When they re-register to vote, they need to provide an ID. And then, if you register as a Republican, Independent, Green, Democrat, whatever party you affiliate with, I think it should be a universal good to keep a voter ID. And then the election this year is being held on November 3rd, and I want to say it's the first Tuesday of November following the first Monday. I can't wrap my head around how they pick it, when they pick the dates. So let's just say when the new election day comes around, I think what they need to do is when you go to your polling place, you show an ID. And they say, oh, voter ID disenfranchises African Americans and Hispanics. Why or how? Are you telling me that African American people are incapable of getting a driver's license? When I grew up in California, when you go to get your driver's license, they ask you on the form, do you wish to register to vote? And you do it right then and there. So I don't know how all states do it. I know when I was in New Mexico, when I lived there, I went to a voter registration drive, and I registered to vote. When I moved to Minnesota, I went to get my Minnesota commercial driver's license transferred over from New Mexico, and I registered to vote when I got my driver's license. So how does that disenfranchise anybody? If you're going to be driving a vehicle, you're required to have a driver's license. That suffices for voter ID to me. I mean, even if you don't drive, like if you're in some of these communities where, like New York, where, most people either use alternate transportation, trains, subways, whatnot, and they're not driving their, vehicles, and they don't have a driver's license. Well, you get a government issued ID, and there you go. There's your voter ID. So I don't understand how that disenfranchises anybody. Is that to me is just BS. It's nonsense, and it's just one more way of suppressing the vote. Also, I think that this whole mail-in balloting thing should be gone. There should only be two ways. Well, let's say three ways to vote. You vote in person on election day at a polling place assigned to where you live. For me, it's the library down the street from my house is my polling location. Some places have a city hall, a church, a school, wherever your polling place is. You vote on election day at your polling place. The second way to vote is by absentee ballot. That is done either at, like, let's say at your city's election office, which where I live is at the city hall, and that is should only be allowed if you're gonna be, let's say you're gonna be on vacation uh, on election day and you're not gonna be home to vote, or if you're in the military and you're gonna be overseas, or somewhere where you're not near your home polling place. So if you're from Minnesota, like I live in Minnesota now, but you're in the military and you're stationed in let's North Carolina. Let's say you're in the Army and you're stationed at Fort Bragg, and you want to vote in your home local election. Well, you vote absentee, and the last way to doing it is in person at your at your city's central polling location. That's it. No mail-in ballots. No, no voting early. There should be only one day and one day only to vote, and that's election day. All this voting that started here in Minnesota in I think it started last Friday. Uh, Even before the first presidential debate was held, voting started. So why do we allow this? And everyone's like, "Oh, we're too scared to vote because of COVID. We're scared. I don't want. We're not social distance. It's not safe." That's complete BS. If you can drag your butt into Walmart and go grocery shopping, or Target, or go out to eat, then you can dang sure well vote. It's just an excuse. As we just seen with this Project Veritas video that just came out here in Minnesota, we've got a huge issue down in the Minneapolis area with ballot harvesting and fraudulent voting, and by what's shown as people involved with the Omar campaign, and with I can't remember the guy's name, Osmond, I think it's the name of a city council member. That's garbage. There's no reason for ballot harvesting. I can understand like for people that elderly that are like in a nursing home or something like that are incapable of voting at their polling location, then they should be allowed to vote absentee. But no political operative of either party should be allowed to go and pick up their ballot. That's just calling for trouble. And you've heard recently of all these ballots from this. I want to say it was New York, some small community in New York, that they found so many ballots to be ineligible, so they threw them out. So that calls into question the validity of that election. So here's how you fix the voting issue in this country. No early voting, no mail-in ballots, voting on election day and only election day at your polling location. Absentee by request, not just sending out unsolicited ballots. Complete, total purging of every single voter roll nationwide, and universal voter ID. Simple. I don't understand why this is controversial. And this whole it disenfranchises people is just a talking point. It's an excuse. It's all it is. So, I'm gonna step down off my soapbox now. I probably annoyed half my people that have watched my videos, and the other half are agreeing with me. Your opinion is your own. Vote for who you think is the right person for the office, whatever the office is, president, senate, house, and of course your local state elections, governors, mayors, city council members, school boards, bonding bills, all that. Vote what's in your heart. I don't feel it proper for me to tell someone else how to vote. That's your decision and your decision alone. And there's no reason why every single person that's 18 years old or older shouldn't vote. It's sad when more people vote for American Idol than for in a nationwide election. I would say president, but there's a lot more than just the president on the ballot. So think about it. If you're watching shows like The Voice or American Idol or whatever, where you at home can vote for your favorite person on that show, that's great. But it has zero effect on your life other than entertainment. But if you're eligible to vote and you don't vote, I don't understand why you don't take more of an interest in that, because that affects every single person in this country and around the world. And by you staying home and silent on election day, you're not helping anything. All you're doing is letting someone else speak for you. You need to be your own voice. That's why we have elections in this country. And by staying home or ignoring this, I know it's tough. And when you're watching, all these different, if you're watching Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or Newsmax or whoever, you know who you're going to vote for. And I would say these people that are too lazy to get off their butts and go down and vote on election day, you're not helping the situation. All you're doing is letting someone else speak for you. And if that's what you want, then you better be happy with what you get. But if you get off your butt, you go down to your polling place, you vote, you make your voice heard, and when the next election cycle comes around and your chosen representative or whoever won, if your representative didn't win, then guess what? You can vote again, and you can vote. Let's just pick a random person. Let's just say as a generic name, we'll say John Smith is running for state representative in, let's say you live in Arkansas, and you voted for John Smith, and he didn't win, and the person who did win, you don't like. Well, guess what? That's next time around, you can vote him out of office. You know, make your voice heard. Don't let anyone else speak for you. And the only way we're going to make all this happen is for every single eligible American citizen, not someone who's not a citizen, gets off their butt and goes and votes. If you don't vote, you have no right to complain. So that's my log for today. Hopefully things will improve over the next few weeks, and we'll see what happens. But on that note, I'm gonna sign off for today. I hope you stick around. I hope I didn't piss anybody off. I'm gonna try very, very, very hard not to turn this into a political thing, because that's not what I want this to be. But just after witnessing what went on tonight, I just felt I had to say something. This is my opinion and mine alone. So, it is what it is. It's my 2 cents. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.